So we're going to do two different bend ideas, and then I'm going to introduce finger tapping. I would have done rhythm stuff, but I didn't scan anything from last time, so I'm not sure where we are on those triplets. But that's alright, this will keep you busy. So this first bend riff I got off a Zakk Wylde DVD, and it's a pain in the ass at first. So you're going to have to sit your hand up in advance for this. It sounds like this. And actually, once you get the hang of it, you can play it pretty quick. Well, that last part isn't part of the riff, but I'll hit that sometimes. Those 5, 5, 5 frets. So you're going to bend with the middle two fingers again, like we've done before. That's going to be on 7 on the G, and you're going to be holding the 8th fret on the B string with the pinky, 5th fret with your index finger on the high E. So when you go to bend, you pick the G string, bend that up a whole step, keep it bent, then you pick the E string, B string, pick the G string, then release. So do that again. So you got 7 held on the G string, 8 held on the B string, 5 held on the E string. Then you pick the G string, then you bend it, pick the E string, pick the B string, pick the G string, release the string, and then you need to move your index finger back onto the G string behind those two fingers, take your middle finger off, and then pull off to the 5. From there, you hit the G or the D string, 7th fret, and then you're going to keep that down. This is where it gets really challenging. You're going to do a full step bend with just your index finger, and you're actually going to pull this one down because you can't push the G string up on this bend, or else you're just going to push right into that D string that's being used. That's why it says let ring above that 7. It starts on this right above the 7th fret of the D string. So you're going to let a couple notes ring out here. So once you hit that 7th fret on the D string, you go back to hitting the 5th fret on the G, so you have both notes ringing out. Then you have to pull down on the G string, so you bend up a whole step, string release, or bend release, and then back to that D string. So keep holding them down, and that's it. The next bend idea, hopefully you can see the arrow starting directly over the fret. When you see the arrow directly over the fret, that indicates a pre-bend. So before you go picking that 12th fret, you need to have the string bent. So we got half steps and whole steps again, and it's really a guessing game at this point. So like if you have a half step bend, you bend a little bit. Whole step bend, you bend a bit more. This is what it sounds like. One more time. So you can practice these pre-bends anywhere. You just got to make sure whatever you're bending up to, you know how far up it is. So you can like practice these on like a string, just going down in key. So like when you got your backing track going, it's a good idea to try out some of these pre-bends. It can really add a lot to a guitar solo. So now finger tapping, this is what I start everyone off with. And it's to train your tapping hand, so it'll be your picking hand. So I'm going to go over a few rules that I like to follow that sets you up for success for more complicated things later on. Always practice finger tapping while holding a pick. You want to be able to go between playing regular things into finger tap stuff without having to put a pick down and pick it back up or hold it in a funny way or whatnot. So hold your pick while you're doing this. You're going to use your middle finger for all your tapping right now. Eventually I'll show you how to do multiple fingers on your tapping hand, but that's a ways down the road. But not too far. It really depends on how fast you pick this stuff up. It might actually be done in a few months here. But so when you're doing your tapping, you're going to follow the same motion for pull-offs that you do on your left hand. So when you're doing a pull-off with your left hand, your fret hand, remember you're pulling your finger away from the string by hooking your finger in toward your hand like that. So almost like you're making a fist kind of thing. So you do the same thing with the tapping hand. You're going to, after you tapped, you're going to pull off by bringing your finger in towards your hand. You don't want to flick it away. We don't want to do any flick offs. So in order to get the tap, you just push down on the fret. Basically, it's like a hammer on from nothing. It's like you could do the same thing here. You just throwing your finger down on the note. So you want to keep this motion in the finger as much as possible. You want to avoid cocking the wrist back to give you leverage and aiding in the process of tapping. So keep the motion in your finger for the most part as much as you can. You're not going to be using your arm either. And so positioning of this it's not going to be directly like go in the same direction as the string. It's would that be parallel with the string. You're not going to have it perpendicular either, because when you pull off this way, you got to make sure that you're not just sliding it across the string. You still need to basically pluck the string as you're pulling off after the tap. So you get your tap. It's kind of like at a 45-degree angle is the angle you're pulling off from the string. So you push your finger down onto the string, and then you pull it off like that. I have all this part of my hand resting on the strings I'm not playing. And it's kind of like it's on the G, D, A, and E string. And then you might notice I got my other fingers sitting up here. They're making sure that the G and the B string are also muted. So if you just did like your index finger, you can do that. But your index finger on your fret hand is going to barely touch the B string in order to keep that muted, because you will be brushing up against those adjacent strings when you're pulling off from your tap. So you're going to be tapping on the 12 every single bar and then pulling off to a different note each bar. Each bar has, in parentheses, 4 times, so you're going to do each bar 4 times, and you're going to focus on having a nice even 1-2. 1, 2 count. So something like this: 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Doesn't matter what finger you use on your fretting hand for this one. Do not focus on speed on this either. Focus on clarity. You want to make sure you get really solid with this tap pull, tap pull, tap pull. Not tadpole. Not talking about baby frogs. And that's the start to finger tapping right there. There's a good chance you will get a blister on the tip of your middle finger there. I used to get them quite often when I would learn how to play bass, and sometimes working finger tapping a bit will also have that happen if you don't have it. Well, I know it's like if I don't have my technique spot on and I'm kind of brushing against the string too much instead of doing a good solid pull off, the skin will get irritated. But I've been doing it, I guess I've been doing it long enough. I haven't had that happen in quite some time. It must be calloused up enough. So if you do get a blister on the end of your tapping finger, as soon as that sucker's healed, start tapping again, so this way you will start to callus up. Because I've noticed that if you wait too long to start tapping again, you just get another blister, and that shit's no fun. Alright, if you got any questions, let me know. I will see you again, or I plan on seeing you again Thursday.